with the way the world is nowadays, you can be just as judgmental as you want about anything you want.
Yeah, but I mean, not to say that you should be, but I think that
I mean,
I think that you lose the privilege that comes with being, like having gone places and seen things, if you've never left.
I've never been to Asia or Australia, but I judge the hell out of them all the time.
Well, I think that part of that is because one one culture gave us samurais and the other gave us Crocodile Dundee. Like they're not the same.
Exactly. And I have yet to bet a samurai or Crocodile Dundee. I want to have sex with a woman from Australia, and she's like, "That's not a cork. This is a cork." Just, I'm like, ah, oh god, yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is, miss. Yes, it is.
I would not even be upset. I wouldn't even be upset at that point. I'd be like, well, when in Rome. Although in this case, I guess it's when in Sydney.
or Melbourne or any other. Queensland, maybe? I don't know. I don't know enough about Australia.
Yeah, you got Sydney and then the rest of Australia.
Yes. So you and I are here today because you watched one of the greatest movies of all time. Now, do you mind if I do a quick Wikipedia breakdown of the film that we're discussing today?
Go ahead, Siri. Do what you want. By the way, if I keep looking this way, it's because I'm really distracted because the local stray dog is currently chasing two geese across the pond, and if the dog starts to drown, I have to run off and save it.
So my dog, when we moved up here, my dog General Wart, we had like, I don't know if they were swans, they were some sort of like lakey bird, and Wart loves the water, so he would go out into the water and he would chase after these ducks or whatever the fuck they were, and every time he'd get close, the birds would just kind of pop up and move 10 or 15 feet away in an effort to tire my dog out to the point of death.
Yeah, and I think that's what these two geese are doing to this poor dog right now. She's been in this pond for about 15 minutes, and I could never be as determined as this dog is to try to catch a goose.
Maybe raw goose meat's delicious.
Or this dog's just fucking retarded. I mean, let's think about it. Even the velociraptors in Jurassic Park gave up after this much effort. This dog is still going.
But I mean, like, dogs, how do dogs set goals? Like, it's not like he has shit else to do today. He's a dog. He's like, I got dog shit to do. What is dog shit to do? I chase ducks. Okay, fucking go do dog shit. All right, good for you.
So you're saying if this dog chasing these geese leads to its demise of drowning, I should just let it be? Or should I intervene?
It's a tough one.
There are water moccasins in plethora in this pond.
I love you, and you know what? I hope that dog doesn't drown via duck escape. But if it's not the ducks, it's water moccasins. It's other shit to do, right? Like, I lived in Florida, and a gator grabbed my dog. Right?
My dog. Well, that's a gator.
A water moccasin's a water moccasin. I don't know a whole lot about those either, but I don't want to fight one.
I can swim with a 12 gauge. It's right here.
But here's the thing: like, if you have more than one water moccasin, like, you gotta hope, like, what are they standing in a line? Like, all the moccasins are like, yo. It's got to go through me and all these other water moccasins that just happen to be lined up perfectly for you to shoot.
If there's more than one, is it water moccasai? I mean, what is the plural here?
Yes, it is.
I mean, I think I could take a water moccasin, but water moccasai, that sounds like you're getting a little outside my realm.
Yeah, what am I? The noted Australian, whatever his name is? Guy Wheatley?
James Vanderbeek?
Yes.
I can only assume James Vanderbeek is from Australia. I mean, have you seen the guy? Majestic.
I loved him in Dawson's Creek, and I love the way he covered up his Australian accent.
Right? You gotta love the beak, baby. Gotta love the beak.
You know, it was weird seeing him in Varsity Blues because I know rugby is a tougher sport, right? And it's like, do you feel like you're kind of like pushing down to get yourself into like a football movie? You're like, oh, I was gonna do a rugby movie, but now I'm going to be in a movie about American football in high school in Texas. Ha ha ha! By the way, that's how Russell Crowe sounds. That's actually my Russell Crowe impression.
I thought you were doing Billy Ray Cyrus.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, it happens. I do love tomatoes.
Oh my gosh! Can I give a shout out to a local restaurant?
I mean, is it the Schnitzel Bomber?
It is not the Schnitzel Bomber, but the Schnitzel Bomber came up in conversation while I was there, based on their playing of good music from Sturgill Simpson. Now, if you're not familiar with Sturgill Simpson, I don't know, I call them alternative or progressive country. Really, really good music. But I walked in, they were playing Sturgill Simpson. I was with my boy, and I knew I was in the right place. Now, the restaurant it was a bakery called the Moose's Loose, right? And the Moose's Loose was kind of a fixture in the Soldotna Kenai Peninsula tourist industry for many, many years. They sold sugary treats, baked goods, donuts, maple bars, shit like that. So a couple of years ago, they went out of business. They were bought out by a guy that owns a place called the Alpine Bakery in a town called Girdwood. Girdwood is a kind of resort town outside of Anchorage. And anyway, I see you're yawning. They make damn good pizza. The best thing that
I've been drinking since 9 o'clock in the morning my time. So
well, that's because you're an American.
You're not wrong.
But anyway, yeah. So the pizza at the Moose's Loose is probably the best pizza that I've had on the Kenai Peninsula in a very long time. Their oven was imported from Naples, Italy. They import buffalo mozzarella from Italy. They make good stuff. It's not cheap, but it's very, very good.
I mean, if you got mozzarella flying all the way in from Italy, it can't be that fresh. But apparently, it's very good.
I don't know.
How quickly can a plane get from Italy to the Teton Peninsula, Alaska?
Well, I guess the question is, how often is it coming in to restaurants and consumers in the Anchorage area, and then get it delivered here? Now, and how long does cheese keep?
I mean, mozzarella cheese, I don't know, but I mean, blue cheese is like spoiled cheese, right? And we still eat the hell out of that shit.
Yeah, and why can't we cheer it up?
Yeah. I mean, if you're saying it's good pizza, I trust you and your taste because I've known you, and you were, if nothing, a tasteful human being.
Aww.
Aww.
All right, so back to this. Back to what got us here. They Live, titled on screen as John Carpenter's They Live, as a 1988 American science fiction thriller film written and directed by John Carpenter, based on the 1963 short story 8 O'Clock in the Morning by Ray Nelson, starring Roddy Piper, Keith David, and Meg Foster. The film follows an unnamed drifter who discovers through special sunglasses that the ruling class are aliens concealing their appearance and manipulating people to consume, breed, and conform to the status quo via subliminal messages in mass media. The film was a minor success at the time of its release, debuting at #1 at the North American box office, which seems like that's more than a minor success. It initially received negative reviews from critics who lambasted its social commentary, writing, and acting. However, like Carpenter's other films, it later gained a cult following and experienced a significantly more favorable critical reception. It is now regarded by many as a largely underrated work. The film has also entered popular culture and notably had a lasting impression on street art. particularly that of Shepard Fairey, known from the brand Obey. While its nearly 6-minute alley brawl between the protagonists makes appearances on all-time lists for best fight scenes,
Yes, I
including
agree.
including South Park.
Really?
Yeah, so Cripple Fight. Cripple Fight is based on the They Live fight.
Okay. So, are we done with the synopsis of the movie? Can we talk about the movie now?
Yeah, now we can talk about the movie.
All right. Let's start with the name John Carpenter. I know the name, and I know the dude's directed tons of shit, and it always starts with John Carpenter's, but I could not tell you off the top of my head a single John Carpenter film.
Well, okay, so while you might not know it as John Carpenter films, some of the things that he's done that have like stuck out to me is Escape from New York.
Okay.
All right.
Snake Plissken. Yeah.
Yeah, he gave us Snake Plissken. He gave us the Fog, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness.
So all of those fantastically horrible, great, amazing 80s movies.
Yeah, basically. I don't know. In the 80s, it was kind of culty.
Yeah.
That would probably be it, man.
So he peaked in the 80s along with cocaine.
Well, no, I wouldn't say he peaked in the 80s. He had stuff going into the 90s, going into the 2000s. Some of it is better than others. Like I haven't seen Ghosts of Mars, but
I've seen that one.
Now
and then Val Kilmer, right? Val Kilmer was in Ghosts of Mars.
I believe he was in Ghosts of Mars. I think Ice Cube was as well.
That I don't remember, but I mean, I'm gonna remember if Iceman is in something. So
yeah, as you should. No, it's he's a guy that's been around for a while. He's a guy that's done a lot of films that I enjoy. He's also inspired a lot through his work. But this film, particularly, sticks out to me as probably my favorite. And don't get me wrong, I love Escape from New York.
Well, who doesn't? And if you don't, you need to leave this podcast immediately.
Yeah. No, seriously.
No, we're better off without those type of people.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to share a world with somebody who doesn't love Snake Plissken.
He's come up on this podcast multiple times, including with the idea that Snake Plissken and Captain Ron are the same person in the same universe, and that universe is the Old Guard universe, but they're actually the exact same person. That not all
Snake Plissken sunk the Sarasota.
Snake Plissken did a lot of shit. Like Snake Plissken.
Saratoga, not Sarasota. Saratoga. My bad.
Whatever, same thing.
Yeah. It's an S word.
Yeah. So, first off, what were your impressions of the film? Now, this was your first time. What are you drinking? That's not milk.
No. This is a half gallon of margarita from Route 66 Tacos here in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Fuck it. All right.
Hey,
when in
3 a.m. is a ways away, buddy. All right. I can do chest day still drunk. Most days I wake up still drunk. I slam some fucking Sicario pre-workout, and I'm sober before I get to the gym. Problem solved.
Fair enough. Yeah. And you know what? If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that if you use a shaker bottle, if you're drinking liquor out of a shaker bottle, no one knows you're drinking.
Yeah. Oh, no, officer. Just shake the hell out of it. It's my pre-workout, baby. I'm just super jacked right now. Woo! No, all right, sir. Have a good day.
Going to the gym, officer. I'm going to get super strong.
Listen, officer, I do CrossFit. It's okay. I just try to get to the CrossFit gym. Sir, you're in the middle of the high school parking lot doing donuts. This isn't CrossFit? My bad.
Doing double unders.
Yeah. I thought I was kipping. And I actually, I kind of missed like the first 10 to 15 minutes because I was super deep in meal prepping. But as soon as he found the sunglasses and he put them on for the first time, I was like, God damn it. I need to go buy a pair of Ray-Bans right now and go see what the world's all about.
Well, those look like cheap gas station sunglasses. So I think like anything that you
Yeah,
get for under $10
I'm sure.
will help you see the. Because here's the thing: if you're buying Ray-Bans, you're buying some shit they're selling you. You're consuming. You're not buying what you need. You're buying what you desire. You're looking out for number one as a status symbol.
God,
But if you're walking in there saying, I'm going to buy some pugs or I'm going to buy some piranhas or whatever, whatever your $10 or $15 gas station brand is.
So basically, you're just telling me that I'm just another fucking cog in the wheel. Thanks, Bill.
Well, there's a reason that in the Matrix they don't wake you up past a certain age because you wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yeah, I guess. But we're not talking about waking up in the Matrix. We're talking about putting on a pair of $10 gas station glasses and seeing the aliens for what they really are.
So what we're talking about is waking up and seeing what's on the other side. Just like in the Matrix, you unplug and see what's on the other side.
You're not wrong. And they were, man, so in this movie, they talk, I got a little lost. They said like alternate universes and alternate worlds. So I wasn't sure which way they were going with that one. Did you catch that?
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that because there's a lot to unpack. But we have to remember to get back to the alternate worlds and alternate universe. This ties into a lot of different mythologies, not just the idea of rampant consumerism and kind of the cult of personality and believing what you're told and being a good citizen.
This is the 80s, way before smart technology was out there.
But even then, what you're seeing is in this film, drones flying over the city, watching everything you're doing, cameras everywhere. You can't see them. But they're watching you. They're tracking everything you do. They've got law enforcement working for them. They've got their own private military. They've got human elites that do their bidding so that they can be their powerful bitches. Weird.
Wild shit.
But yeah, so this ties, I think, into a lot of different things. And I don't think that you and I have ever talked necessarily about the lizard people.
I mean, not on air. We've never talked about the lizard people.
So I think that a lot of the mythology in They Live ties in very much to the mythology of the lizard people. Well, and let's talk about what you just brought up with the alternate worlds and alternate different worlds, different universes. So there's a lot of different mythologies for the lizard people. There's a lot of different metaphors for the lizard people. The one that I stick with is that lizard people. The part of the mythology of lizard people is that they exist off of our misery. That's what gives them strength. Right, that's what gives them power. To see us infighting and warring with each other and our neighbors and our friends.
Kind of like every wife ever.
Yeah. So what I'm saying in this is that when you talk about the lizard people, there are lizard people in your life. They may not necessarily be like reptilians. Like literal reptilians, but they are suckers of joy from your life. They exist to suck joy and force misery upon you. Sometimes, every once in a while.
Oh yeah, the succubus. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. But not simply, but not to put it on like all on a like a woman who is evil, but in a very real way. Like if the lizard people live to suck the joy out of our lives. Maybe that is your succubus. Maybe that is your evil first wife. Maybe that is your evil first husband or first boyfriend. Maybe I'm the lizard person to you because I make you miserable. And
well, first of all, you've never made me miserable, friend. So you can never be my lizard person. You're more of like my, what did we call it the other day? My cuddle lizard. I'm talking about alligators.
So in the book Alien World Order, which is another one of those, I wouldn't say it's a must read, but it's a must listen to. If you do any road work or treadmill work, it's a good thing to listen to while you're on a treadmill.
I'm running it down. I have to drive to Texas in 2 weeks, so
if you're driving to Texas in 2 weeks, I would recommend Alien World Order. and I would recommend Behold a Pale Horse, both of which are available on Audible. Alien World Order does a really good job of breaking down different mythologies involving the lizard people, interdimensional aliens, where different aliens come from, how it connects to modern history, how it connects to entertainment with film. Oh, well, Behold a Pale Horse touches on EBE, extraterrestrial biological entity, which for entertainment purposes turned into ET. So the story in Behold a Pale Horse, basically it states that Close Encounters of the Third Kind and ET were based on actual events. Now, in Alien World Order, it goes into how the Star Wars series is also based on actual events in a galaxy far, far away. But these are still us, long, long ago. It doesn't necessarily say when, but in a galaxy far, far away. People who were just like us, who lived in environments just like us, were in an intergalactic war against evil. And so, like Pat Miletich said on the IG Live, good wins. But who defines what's good and what's not? But yeah, so E.T.
The winner, the victor defines what's good and what's not.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter what righteous side you were on. If you lost, you were the bad guy.
You're wrong. Yeah. Hence why Nazis are bad. I mean, we all know that they're terrible human beings and horrible things were done, but they lost, so they're bad.
Well, we can. Here's the thing: is like if we're winning, I don't want to say that it wipes away like all of our flaws, but that's the shit that people remember. If Tyson Fury like doesn't lose another match before he retires, like we're gonna remember all of the good stuff and his rebound from the bad stuff. But if he goes ape shit and like flips his wig and goes back down the rabbit hole, then we talk about it's the continuous nature of Tyson Fury, and that's who he was. But people, the get back is always better than the setback.
I like that. That's a good statement.
Yeah. But this particular movie, going back to They Live, there's a lot of different themes in this film that I think are worth talking about. What was the theme that kind of stuck out to you the most?
Beware of consumerism and cable television.
All of that shit, not just cable television, but even opening up a magazine, opening up a newspaper.
Yeah, well, that's the consumerism part.
Propaganda. Buy some shit. Propaganda. Go here to eat some
buy
shit.
some. Yep.
Travel here. Go someplace to do some shit.
Yeah, and I mean, isn't that what's going on in our world nowadays with our smartphones, listening to everything we say? Every time I open Facebook, it's like, hey, buy this. Amazon saw you like that. Hey, you talked about going to New Zealand with your wife. You talked about going to Pity Party, Alaska to see Bill. Here's hotel rooms up there. It's all propaganda. And it's all right here.
But here's where it gets crazy. So we pay, let's say we pay imaginary number, $100, right, for our smartphone, right? So so the networks have already been built. They all exist. The cost for us to make a phone call or to use the internet, it's I don't know that it's necessarily going up as far as what it costs them to make that happen. However, they're charging us $100 to take all of the shit we look at, all the shit we look up, and sell that data to interested parties. I feel like we should get some of our money back. Like there's a value in knowing what each and every one of us are interested in, right? Because you and I could be into a lot of the same things, except for maybe a baseball team or something like that, right?
Go Braves.
Our stuff is going to be catered to. Like you've got a Braves hat on. It's going to be Hank Aaron, Tom Glavine, David Justice stuff, and
Yeah.
You know, my baseball team is going to be some other douchebag.
We'll say Houston. It's Houston.
It's Houston, and so I get like all my JJ Watts stuff. Different sport,
Yeah.
I know, but like Nolan Ryan.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Um.
Wayne Gretzky.
The greatest of all time. I loved him when he played for the Bulls.
I mean, he did set the league record for the most home run kicks ever set in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty talented. He's a talented guy.
Right? Even with all of those, offside penalties, she was just amazing.
Talented gal.
Anyways. So you're saying that because these people are clocking my information, I should be getting like a refund for it?
I think you should I feel like if you use your phone to order stuff on it, right? That is being directly like marketed to you, right? It's direct marketing. This is the shit you're into. It should be like if you get a Discover card and they give you cash back on your purchases, it should be like that, especially if it's something that was directly marketed to you. Whether or not they were right or they were wrong when they sent it to you, like they knew when they sent me, like they did that pop-up for like, oh, burrito blankets are a thing, and get yourself a blanket that looks like a tortilla. They knew who they were talking to.
Guy who likes burrito,
yeah. And if I spend $20 or whatever on that blanket, maybe it's 50 cents, maybe it's $1. But if you're using my data to market stuff directly to me and you're being paid, I feel like I should get points back. Maybe it's for gas. Maybe when we get the chip in our hand, I can use it for my rent, since I'll rent my house from the government.
You mean when you get your COVID vaccine? That's what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't know if we can talk about that because might get taken off the air. I don't know if you're familiar with James Corbett.
The guy who talked about ferrets and all the testing?
No, that's Pat Miletich. That's UFC Hall of Famer, Pat Miletich.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
No, so James Corbett is he's an independent investigative journalist. He's a Canadian that lives in Canada, or not lives in Canada, lives in Japan. Many Canadians live in Canada. He lives in Japan. Although for as long as he's lived in Japan, and I'm not sure how long he's lived in Japan, he might be a resident and or a citizen, in which case he's a Japanese man. But the last I checked, he was Canadian.
All right. So the Canadian-Japanese feller.
The Canadian-Japanese fella. Anyway, he was recently deplatformed on YouTube for doing a video that essentially said, I'll probably get deplatformed for this, without actually saying it. And it was about science, and it was about the evolutionary nature of science, and how if you don't go with the mainstream science narrative, you'll be shunned, you'll be outcasted. It doesn't matter what credentials you have if you're not.
Yeah, they'll use their big corporate backing to shut you down and make you look like a fool.
Yeah,
Nikola Tesla.
So if we want to talk about, we're going to call him Dr. Foul here, so that I don't get taken off of YouTube. Doc Foul.
Yeah, Dr. Foul.
Doc Foul. So Foul at the very beginning of this said, those coverings on your face, you shouldn't wear them. They really do no good. And it was said later that he said that so that they could protect the mask inventory that they have for medical workers.
Okay.
So it was not a big enough deal to tell us the truth. Rather than saying, hey, you don't need to get a mask. We're going to save the masks for people who are working on the front line, who are, doing this good work. But you don't need a mask. Figuring this out. If you want to wear a mask, make a mask. Masks are awesome. Ninjas are real cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. so rather than it being that, like this is what's going on, and being honest with us, apparently it was okay under those circumstances to lie to us and tell us that masks weren't necessary. Now, Dr. Fow Fow has changed his position on many, many, many things over the last year plus. But if you are someone who says, well, this is what's gonna happen, or this is what's coming, or this is what's out there, and you're using the best evidence at the time, like there were folks a year and change ago saying, no, masks don't do anything, and I don't really have a stance on masks. Right?
Yeah.
I don't care at this point. You either do or you don't. But
yeah.
But Fow Fow's changed opinions. And a year and a half ago, when people were saying masks are stupid and here's why, and they would show you physical evidence of why this sort of thing wouldn't work for them. So yeah, but now we're back to, if you disagree with the mainstream narrative, then you are a threat to society. And one of the terms that one of the big thinking guys on the subject said was that changing the narrative to outside mainstream medicine and outside science is essentially a national security issue.
How is that a thing?
You start asking yourself that, but now imagine you put medical or scientific information in the same realm that you put national security.
Okay.
Now think about, so if they think you are importing drugs into the United States of America, at this point they can say it's a national security issue, which means I'm sure it's much easier to get a warrant if you say it's a national security issue.
Yeah, in national security, we can tap everything. We do whatever the hell we want.
Exactly, 100%. So,
yeah.
So now your anti-masker group or your anti-vaccination moms group on Facebook has now become a national security issue.
Those anti-vax moms, they're a whole lot of Karens not to be trusted.
Listen, you should be trusting Karens anyway. You shouldn't be trusting Karens. You shouldn't be trusting Carols, Paulas,
Lindas.
None of them.
Yeah. Basically, anyone not to be trusted.
Anyone.
My statement, not yours. My statement, not yours.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. But a lot of women in my day. Never trusted one of them. It's done me quite right so far.
How's your wife?
Fantastic. She doesn't talk to me.
Now, they live.
Yes. Back to this. All right.
Back to what got us together. Overall, would you recommend the movie?
I would definitely recommend this movie. It comes from the late 80s, a time where even if it was bad acting, they weren't relying so heavily on CGI that it took away from the movie. I think the premises was great. It had some great foreshadowing for the future. Like you said, the alley fight scene was one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen in my life. Although the black guy in the movie, when I see him and hear him talking, all I can think about is, oh my God, my brain just brain dumped the movie. The movie with Marlon Wayans where they're heroin dealers. Requiem for a Dream. All I can think about is him in Requiem for a Dream whenever I see him in anything. So that kind of takes away from it.
So he's been a lot of things in a lot of different films.
Yes.
He was also in Range 15.
Yes, he was.
So I think that is something that should be pointed out. And so is Danny Trejo, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Trejo did have a cameo in Range 15.
Yeah. So did Marcus Luttrell, noted actor and thespian.
One of the greats, honestly.
Which is
We're gonna frogman up. Woo! Grab your kid, drop your dicks and grab your kids. Woo! Yeah. Seems like something every Navy SEAL would say to anybody else in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Sure.
As you should. And Rocco meeting a nice zombie lady.
I mean, who doesn't want to have a nice zombie lady at home waiting for them at the end of the night?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, it's what it comes down to. She seemed like a lovely zombie lady, like they could raise a nice zombie family.
Right. I'm sure that she's a great stay-at-home zombie wife. She's always got supper on the table, you know, some human flesh and some poached eggs. It's what more do you want?
It came from a well-marbled human, Marv.
I got a really athletic running guy, and I got this little fat chick on the grill, so we're good.
I know. I think that the running guy would not be so great.
Well, I mean, some people into that, like the lean meat and all that, and yeah. I've had possum. It was pretty stringy. Mm-hmm.
The political elements of the film are derived from Carpenter's growing distaste with the ever-increasing commercialization of the 1980s pop culture and politics, particularly the influence of Reaganomics, the economic policies promoted by U.S. President Ronald Reagan. He remarked, "The picture's premise is that the Reagan Revolution is run by aliens from another galaxy. Free enterprisers from outer space have taken over the world and are exploiting the Earth as its third world planet. As soon as they exhaust all of our resources, they'll move on to another world. I began watching TV again. I quickly realized that everything we see is designed to sell us something. It's all about wanting us to buy something. The only thing they want is to take our money. To this end, Carpenter thought of sunglasses as being the tool to seeing the truth, which is seen in black and white. It's as if the aliens have colorized us. That means, of course, that Ted Turner, founder of CNN, is really a monster from outer space.
Yeah, because he's colorized everything.
The director commented on the alien threat in an interview. They want to own all of our businesses. A Universal executive asked me, "Where's the threat in that? We sell out every day." I ended up using that line in the film.
Yeah.
The aliens were deliberately made to look like ghouls, according to Carpenter, who the creatures are corrupting us. So they themselves are corruptions of human beings.
Yeah.
The film is about yuppies and unrestrained capitalism.
I mean, yeah, I can see it. I mean, so you're talking about Ted Turner. I mean, the first time I saw Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, right? It comes on and it was in color. And my mother, who was born in like the 1940s, was disgusted that Ted Turner had put Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds in color. She's like, "Oh my gosh, here's another mogul just trying to make money off something so pure and beautiful as The Birds."
Wasn't The Birds a horror movie?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the birds take over the world. They turn all against man and kill us all, which how a fucking hollow-boned creature is going to beat me? I don't know. I've beat off a lot of dudes. I'm pretty sure I can beat off a lot of birds. Just saying.
So what do you think about that in relation to the current times we're living in? Now we're talking about monster corporate taxes. Part of the new Biden tax plan is this monster corporate tax plan to pay for a lot of social services. What are your thoughts on everything from that to Lamborghinis? Everybody's on Instagram with a Lamborghini.
Oh man, I mean, this fucking social media is just it's it's completely changed the way the world was. You see, what is it, like the Oscars from 1995? All the actors are hanging out together, bullshitting, having a good time, not worrying about anything. Nowadays, they're all on their fucking smartphones doing whatever they're doing. The human interaction's gone. And while you're on your smartphone, it's selling all of your information to these big multi-million dollar corporations, Amazon, Google, Facebook, what have you, to sell you more products. And while you're on Facebook, giving all of your information out there to the fucking world, they're taking it and they're feeding you whatever propaganda they want to be feeding you. And it's political. I mean, almost somewhat. I seldom get on Facebook anymore because everything I see on Facebook leads back to politics in some way, shape, form, or another.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I find
Yeah.
myself in the same way, kind of getting drawn into the very same bullshit. I find myself, like I'll find myself getting political about some shit I really don't care about, because the only things that really matter to me are the things that matter to me. They're the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Can I talk to my friends and can I feed my family? That's
and Joe Biden has jack shit to do with any of that.
yeah. I mean, is he even president right now? I'm not even sure. It's
As of the recording of this, I haven't gotten an update on my phone. But no, I mean, do you think the movie holds up, and do you think it's still applicable today?
oh my god, it maybe more so now than when it was written.
I agree.
Because when it was written, they didn't have smartphones. The world was a much bigger place, and a bigger place, and we didn't have the communications in '88 that we have now.
But they did. They had their fucking smartwatches. Oh
The,
shit!
the aliens had it. The aliens had it. Yeah.
The aliens aliens had the drones flying around the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now here we are. Amazon's got drones to deliver shit. I got a smartwatch right here. Tracks everything I do.
So
the government knows how many steps I take a day. Steps. By the way, this counts as steps. In case you're wondering.
I've been swimming.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so I don't wear a smartwatch. Mostly
Smart.
I'm too dumb to use it. But if I already have a phone with a clock on it, then I don't need a second thing.
Yeah.
If it's a matter of convenience, I've got my earbuds and I got a lab, so like I got Airbud too.
Airbud, the movie, great movie.
Yeah, great documentary. So,
oh god,
that
poor fucking dog.
The great thing about these films is they kind of they do a good job of predicting the future. Because I think that if you over a long enough period of time, just about any science fiction film will have a bit of truth to it. Whether it's Capricorn 1 and fake moon landings, or whether it's They Live in Drones, or whether it's films like Gattaca.
Escape from New York.
Escape from New York.
When is that? When is New York and LA going to collapse?
So
I mean, I'm just saying the 1980s. The 1980s look at the future is disturbingly close to a future I can see us going to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What the fuck did they know 30 years ago that we don't know now?
So if you have a mass exodus of from places like New York and Los Angeles, a lot of people folks from Los Angeles are moving to Texas. In fact, Texas California lost a congressman, and Texas
gained one.
Same thing with Florida, and I believe New York is also a state that lost a representative. I could be wrong, but we're seeing the mass exodus now. People are going away, and when you have that, it's not just like businessmen that are leaving. It's not just bankers who can work from home.
Yeah.
A lot of
it's not just the ghoul aliens. Yeah.
It's not just the ghoul aliens. It's the cops. It's your teachers. It's your everyday folk that are the infrastructure for a city. Firemen.
Yeah, but the problem is the places they're moving to aren't building more infrastructure. They're just building houses. Nobody's worried about infrastructure anymore.
but I said at the very beginning of all of this, I said back in March of last year on a local radio show, that I thought all of this would lead to a rebuilt infrastructure, and part of Biden's plan is to rebuild the infrastructure. If we're taking
are we talking about a real fucking infrastructure, or are we talking about government-run fucking subsidiaries where we're all just standing in line goose-stepping like motherfuckers?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think most of us can agree that most of our cities and most of our highways could use some repaving. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know
but
about
at what
the
expense?
potholes where you live, but I can tell you the potholes in Soldotna, Alaska, tend to be a motherfucker.
Well, I'm pretty sure you could lose a moose in a fucking pothole in Soldotna, Alaska.
You could lose a rim. You could lose all kinds of. You can lose an entire fucking tire. I almost lost my car in a puddle in Soldotna, Alaska.
That sounds like an Alaska problem, brother. Get out there with some sand and some fucking concrete and fix it yourself.
But hear me out. Like you have, and you live in the area of St. Roberts, Missouri. I'm sure some of those roads could use some work as well. I'm sure
they're all great, actually.
Actually, I do remember them being pretty good.
They're pretty fucking good roads here. But I'll give you Georgia. The roads in Georgia are complete shit. I'll give you that.
But the back roads in Missouri are fun to drive. Okay. So,
oh my God, yes.
But yeah, throughout the states, cities and streets and highways could use a repaving. Okay. Just about any city you go to, you're going to see a ton of potholes. You can hire people to fix that shit.
Yeah.
And they'll do it. They'll do it in the middle of summer. If you pay them some decent money. You can get the work that needs to be done. And if there really is a plan to rebuild the infrastructure of the United States of America, then I think that this would be a good start. But there's an extreme likelihood that exists to make a small amount of people very, very rich.
Yes, and to give the government more control over our day-to-day lives. Big government's not supposed to be controlling as much as big government controls, baby.
No, I agree. I think that when you talk about government control and government overreach, you see it all over the place. Yeah. Now, just this week, just a few days ago, about an hour and a half from here in Homer, Alaska, the owners of a bed and breakfast had their house raided by the FBI. They had their house.
By the who?
By the FBI.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So the FBI and I'm assuming state troopers, maybe a couple of federal agents, other than the FBI.
Some of them SWAT boys, yeah.
They showed up to get Nancy Pelosi's laptop. Now, Nancy Pelosi's laptop was not in Homer, Alaska.
Okay.
They got the way wrong person. So maybe the agencies aren't as good at tracking us as they think they are.
You were part of the federal government. You worked for the Air Force. We're nowhere near as good as we claim to be, buddy.
That's true. But the lady that we're looking for is definitely not the lady whose house they went to. But you'd think they'd have metadata that they could track. Like if this lady had her phone, or if she plugged in Nancy Pelosi's laptop. So one of my questions is, what the fuck is on there?
Epstein, the footage of Epstein not killing himself.
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at the bank accounts that she has connected to the interdimensional rotting fleshloids from whatever planet they live her from.
You're talking about the payments she gets from Sasquatch to be able to be an interdimensional traveler without getting too much heat.
Yes.
Yeah. Sasquatch, I'm certain Sasquatch is just sitting on a fucking mountain of gold somewhere. So
laughing at us.
Yeah, as he comes and goes and pays Nancy Pelosi every time he comes and goes to our realm.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He's like,
it makes sense.
Well, what if he's like the outward bound granola version of like the aliens that are, like going to the well-groomed aliens of our city?
He's the granola version of them?
Yeah, he's like, I live in, I like going to Earth's woods, man. I don't like people. I just kind of.
So I think so. You're saying like Sasquatch lives in a world of gold where lumber is not a. Lumber is a. Yep, an extra. So he comes here, picks up a handful of sticks, and drops Nancy Pelosi like 17 gold bars and says, "I'm taking these sticks back with me," and takes the lumber back.
Yeah, so like he grows like
Yeah.
gold grows on his planet, so it's like
Yeah.
nothing to him. Like, why do I want to hang out with this gold? It's a conductor. It does weird stuff.
Yeah,
No,
it's always here.
he goes to our realm. He's like I love fishing. I love picking berries.
Do you know how much a trout goes for on my planet?
Oh, I'm basically a. But I love it too. Like I sell it, but I love it. I'm like, it's my favorite.
Yeah, but I think I see Sasquatch. He's like, he's not doing it to be a good person, a man of the people. Sasquatch comes here, steals one trout, and he doesn't take it back and give it to the people. Sasquatch takes this trout and goes straight to the Sasquatch whorehouse. And he's like, "What's up, ladies? I got a trout." And then he spends the night with like 4 Sasquatch ladies, just doing what he wants.
What do you think their grooming situation is?
I'm sure that the Sasquatch that comes here and takes a trout back to his home world has no ticks anywhere in his mane.
I don't know, but
He's got 4 lady Sasquatches acting like Hoover Vats going across his flesh.
Yeah, I don't know. Like we've never seen his cock and balls. Like he's never been. It's never, it's always.
He's not worried about getting that thing wet. He's worried about ticks. He walks around in the woods all day. He doesn't care if his little bojangles get wet. He just wants a woman combing his flesh with her teeth, sucking ticks off his body. I mean, come to think of it, I would pay good money for that. You get 4 women using their mouths to explore my body looking for ticks. I'd give them $5 a piece.
Yeah, but if you got a trout, that's worth way more than $5 in his face. What if what if the predator? What if the mythology of the predator is the same as the mythology as the Port Chatham hairy man? What if they come, what if it's the same thing?
So predator is not really here to hunt us for trophies. What are they hunting us for?
No, predators so Sasquatch.
So Sasquatch is predator.
Yes, that's basically what I'm saying. He doesn't need lasers because he's just going to rip our arms off.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And beat us to death with them. All right, Chewbacca. Oh my God! What if?
So that's
What if Predator is Sasquatch? God, my brain's not ready for this, Bill. No, I'm having a meltdown on camera right now. Give me a second.
Okay, so anyone watching?
If Predator is Sasquatch and Sasquatch is Predator.
Hairy man. All right. And
yeah.
He's Predator. I don't know.
So, oh man. So you're telling me that Sasquatch doesn't just come. So Sasquatch comes here to collect our lumber, but then he goes to other dimensions to hunt other creatures for whatever personal gains.
No, he comes here.
Yeah, but he comes here, but other places as well.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure because he's a Sasquatch is a talented interdimensional hunter. He's part of like the Sahara Club of like whatever fucking planet Sasquatch is from.
So he's out there in cargo shorts.
He's out there. He's got a big hunting rifle. He's hunting.
No,
Whatever the Zalfon 3 version is of a giraffe, he's out there hunting that with like his Sasquatch version of like a hunting rifle.
So, to the best of my knowledge, there's no incidents of Sasquatch attacking or killing human beings.
Okay. Glad
to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, so I will tell you about the Port Chatham hairy man and Port Lock. Now this is Alaska mythology. This is all stuff you can Google and let me know where I'm wrong. But there are 2 towns, Port Chatham.
I'm not going to do that.
You're not going to, but someone at home will, and God bless him for it. The Port Chatham hairy man, Port Lock, is a Sasquatch type character that lives in the woods, and he is the reason these 2 towns were abandoned. Now, the Port Chatham hairy man, and there's some really good information about it. I'm going to pull it up real quick. But in these 2 towns, Port Chatham and Port Lock, over the years, a lot of different things have happened up to and including these two towns essentially being evacuated. Port Chatham, Port Locke were both evacuated almost overnight because of Bigfoot. Let me find a
Yeah, but
synopsis
why
of-
because of Bigfoot?
What's up?
Was he being over? Why because of Bigfoot? Was he being overly aggressive? Was he killing people?
Yeah. Okay. So
I'm making a connection here between Bigfoot and predators, so I'm trying to get there.
never told anybody about the experience for several years until about 1979 when I happened to be reading an old Alaska Sportsman magazine published in 1935. In the letters to the editor, a woman wrote that she recently found a letter written by some distant relative of hers who was a school teacher at the cannery in Port Locke Bay, a rugged fjord adjacent to Dogfish Bay. The year was 1905. She quoted from the letter, "It was said that the cannery employed a small group of Aleuts from a small village in Port Locke Bay during salmon season. Their camp was about a mile from the cannery buildings. One day, all the Aleuts moved out of the village and paddled their bidarkas back to Port Graham. The letter said the Aleuts claimed that a hairy man was bothering and frightening them to the point they had to leave. I have since done some research into the subject and found written histories of natives from Seldovia to Port Graham being frightened and bothered by something. They even have a name for it. It doesn't translate to English well. Most of these accounts take place during the first half of the 1900s and are native related, but not all. I talked to one white guy in 1968 who got the beaver scared out of him while coming down an alder-choked gully while on a goat hunt in Port Locke. Most of these accounts precede the Bigfoot hype that began to appear in the 60s and 70s in the Northwest. So it's part of a story where a guy was out hunting in the area.
Yeah.
And yeah. All right. From
But,
Doc Vegas.
This kind of gives traction to the whole Sasquatch is predator, because predators are nothing. They're big game hunters, right?
So this is from a WordPress page, right? In two closely adjacent communities in rural Alaska, Port Locke and Port Chatham, there was no gradual pullout of the local residents because some very.
I don't believe in a gradual pullout either. So
the entire population hastily exited their town, and virtually overnight, the two communities became ghost towns. Why? Both being remote ports for fishing and canning, being run by Eskimo and Russian descendants, the local business was so good and attracted so many people that the area was even assigned a U.S. post office. It seemed impossible that a sudden withdrawal of the townspeople could happen, but it did. From the turn of the century in 1900 through the World War II years, a strange succession of disappearances, horrific murders, and sightings eventually haunted the people of Port Chatham and Port Locke, that eventually intimidated the people into a complete voluntary evacuation, leaving equipment, housing, offices, and personal belongings to rot in the elements because something terrible had gone on along the way. It all began from its very start. And they go on to talk about fishermen going missing. They talk about very large footprints as long as 18 inches in length.
that's what she said.
So there's a lot of there's a whole
man.
It worked.
I think that if Sasquatch is the predator, I don't see like I'm saying. So predators are big game hunters. They're out there for the biggest, baddest thing they can kill.
Yeah.
We are definitely not on that food chain of. So look at the multiverse, right? There's got to be God knows what out there, you know?
Yeah.
So that takes me back to Sasquatch is coming here not to hunt humans, but to collect natural resources that Earth has that other parallel universes won't. So that way he can fund his big game expeditions to other worlds. And so what? You go out in the woods every now and then, you come across a snake. We're a snake to a Sasquatch. What do you do to a snake? You shoot it in the face. Sasquatch kills us. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I don't think they're here to hunt us, but man, I think Sasquatch is just a fucking big game hunter coming to the Earth realm to collect resources to sell, to go hunt bigger, badder motherfuckers out there.
he's the Marco Polo of international
Oh
trade
Marco Polo.
through interdimensional movement. No, I get it. It makes sense to me. Like, I'm not saying that doesn't make sense to me. That makes perfect sense to me.
Because I mean, even in They Live, the aliens were here harvesting our resources. They never said what those resources were. They just said they were harvesting them. So I think whereas in They Live, the aliens were like, the fishermen who just overfish the oceans. I think Sasquatch has it figured out to come here in small numbers. Maybe it's like the elite few. Maybe it's like the royalty of Sasquatch comes here, gets a few resources, makes a minimal footprint, and then goes back with those resources to fund their expeditions to other more hostile worlds to collect their trophies. Yeah.
So does that, well, so the guys that are in the city, right? Like the evil melting face people.
Right? They're the Chinese overfishing our oceans.
I would even say that, like really. So think about this, man. They're slumlords.
Oh my,
like,
yes.
They're like dudes that retired and moved to the Philippines. Like dudes that retired from the U.S. military and moved to the Philippines because the money, or wherever their dollar is going to go, as far as it's going to go, right?
Okay.
Like, that's where they're going to live. And right now they're like, yeah, I could go to Earth. I could live like a king on Earth. It's like and fuck it, we'll just roll with it and see what happens. But we can go there. We can drive like their nicest shit. We can drive their nicest Mercedes and Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Now, granted, like it's not, the Tesla's cool, but it's not as cool as our flying whatever they've got that's flying. But it's, it's cool. It's whatever. You can still, better than traveling by air, you can still go through this interdimensional portal to take yourself to whatever cool beach you want to go to. But Sasquatch is the granola eating motherfucker of that. The one that likes climbing in mountains and eating berries and fucking who likes salmon. But and maybe he is this big international space hunter, right? Maybe he is that sort of thing. He just wants to live out in the woods. He's like those of us that decide they don't want to live in the city.
Yeah. Like you and I.
He's just hanging out, eating berries, eating trout and salmon, and climbing mountains and fucking up people because they're fucking up his hunting area. So the plan is in July, and hopefully it happens. I am heading out to Port Chatham, with some friends, not necessarily to hunt the Sasquatch, but if he kills me, the goal is that it's at least caught on video.
If he kills you, then I have to avenge you, and that's a lifelong commitment, my man. I'm down for a lot of things, but figuring out interdimensional travel is not on my list of things to do. So please don't get killed by Sasquatch.
Okay, so was it?
I would hate to go to the Sasquatch homeworld and fuck everything up.
I don't know that it would necessarily get that far. So
if he kills you, it will.
Okay, so the man who killed Hitler and then Bigfoot. Are you familiar with the movie?
I've heard of it, but I have yet to watch it.
Okay, so there is potential there. There's real potential for Bigfoot to get killed in all of this. All right, it's not like it hasn't been done before in film, because the guy that killed Hitler also killed Bigfoot. Thank you, Sam Neill.
Yeah. I'm just saying. If July wasn't slam packed for me, I would come up there and try to help you find Bigfoot, so that way we can check in for ticks together.
So my son's nickname is Yeti. I
Yeah.
need you to know that I appreciate the irony in being killed by the hairy man, and the video of my death being used to benefit somebody named Yeti.
I mean, what's the chance of you actually catching that on video, though? Are you gonna have like a drone following you around? Are you gonna be part of They Live, having a drone just following you everywhere you go to see what you're doing?
Part of that
Where are
is
we going
kind of
with
the
this?
part of that is kind of the plan. So there was a documentary that was done a few years ago,
Yeah.
called "In Search of the Hairy Man" or "Search for the Hairy Man." It's on Prime right now. And there was a guy by the name of Larry Baxter who recently wrote a book called Abandoned, and he was part of this documentary, and I recommend watching it. But I watched the
In
documentary
Search of Harry Man?
"Search of the Hairy Man," and anyway, so I watched it. I decided I wanted to, kind of make a documentary, make a film of my expedition out there with my friends. And
Yeah.
so, what were some of the things that I would have liked to have seen in the film, in that particular documentary, that I didn't see?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we're doing with this, is we are putting together the documentary that we want to see. And
So what you're saying is I should watch In Search of Harry Man, and then I can tell you what I would like to see, and you can tell me what you would like to see and what your plans are. That's different.
yes,
Okay.
but definitely more use of drones, definitely more use of night vision resources.
When was In Search of Harry Man filmed?
2018, I believe.
Okay, so drones and night vision was a very open thing to the market then.
Yes. And
I mean, look how far we've come in 3 years. I'm just saying.
So I've invited Larry Baxter, Beans Baxter,
Okay.
the author of Abandoned, to come on to the podcast. He declined.
That'll happen.
That will happen. I'm sure he listened to it. It's like, I want jack shit to do with that shit.
Has he listened to anything I've been on? Has he listened to any of my episodes?
I don't know. I'm sure he's a big fan of Enter the Scottyverse.
Well, about that. I did 3 episodes with him, but I never aired them.
So apparently, like there's a whole Sasquatch media. I had no idea there were so many Sasquatch podcasts. There's a lot of Sasquatch podcasts.
I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look into the. Oh, we put on sunglasses on. You seen if I'm one of them? You seen if? Do I look like a ghoul? Do I look like a ghoul, or do I look like a fool, motherfucker? Don't start this bullshit with me.
You look like Scotty.
If Katy Perry had a mullet, that's what you would look like right now, my friend. What are these big ass bug sunglasses you're wearing? What is this?
I like them.
Oh my god, you're making my soul hurt.